when Ed asked me to do this, it really got me thinking about my own story and how it really gets woven in throughout this industry. Many of us come from different ways. We just heard Denise, who self-expatriated herself and kind of got into the industry that way. I've never been an expat, but I love the world and things surrounding that. And so I'm going to just bring you back in time just a little bit because it's somewhat related. So let me start here. This is a presentation is named 25 Years of Customer Service. I'm not sure what that is, but it's going to be related to technology. I call it from paper to apps because at the beginning of time, not when I got involved in this industry, we were just at the end of the paper period, and I'll kind of get into that that transition. So that's me and my title. I've been with Living Abroad or its predecessors since 1995, so I'm rapidly getting up near 20 years in this industry. It's likely I'll spend the rest of my working career in this industry because I absolutely love it. I love the people. I love traveling to come to Houston and seeing people more and more people I've come to know. You are some of my best friends. I told you this is going to be about technology. I am kind of pot geek. I did have pocket protectors, in my past. I do manage the technology for Living Abroad. I have a son who's a computer engineer. I mean, it's really fun stuff. So this was at ERC about a year ago that we took this picture. I started, and this is where you're going to know more about me than probably a lot of people do. I actually started my life in an orphanage. And actually, St. Vincent's Home for Little Wanderers was what it was called. It was, I guess, a quaint name in the 1950s. And I guess I'm still wandering, just a little bit older. I really always wanted to come to Texas. And even at 2 years old, I was getting ready, had a horse and everything. But even way back when, and I'll tell you a little bit about it. I was starting to be affected by this global world. In my neighborhood where I grew up, it was an immigrant neighborhood, and we used to always ask the other kids in the neighborhood, where are you from? And that where you from did not mean what neighborhood or what street. It meant where were your ancestors from, because they were all from somewhere else. The kid behind me's family was from France. The people next door to me's family was from Poland. Often that generation, they were still the original immigrants, so it was one generation removed. So in my neighborhood, we were very international, even though we were in Providence. I mean, it was just, and I didn't really realize that until I got into this world. It's like, I've met these people before. I know these people. This is not new to me. In 1964, I went to the World's Fair in New York. This was a really big deal. And that's the Unisphere. It's still there. I see it on my way to JFK now. But this mesmerized me. I saw those little puppets for It's a Small World. 2 years later, we went to the United Nations. I saw the whole group of flags around, from across the planet. I actually bought those little flags that you keep on your desk, and had them on my desk, my desk as I grew up. But I really, as I thought back in this industry, I remembered things along the way that just sort of grabbed me. And this sculpture is certainly one of those things. It hooked me for a very real time. I mentioned I'm from Rhode Island, and the reason I'm telling you that is you're probably going to hear me maybe say some words that just don't quite sound Texan. It is genetically impossible for me to say you all, like in mind. It's just, they don't allow us to do that. It's weird. But it's not Boston, and it's not New York, and it's somewhere literally, truly in between. Now let's just put it a little perspective. Let's get actual size here. There we go. That is truly actual size of Rhode Island. is about the size of Harris County, like physically, geographically. It's 40 miles north and 30 miles across. Everybody knows everybody there. That's I don't live there now. I live in Connecticut, but you know, for you Texas people, it's you know, it's not even living in Austin. It's 2 counties away, but it's quite a distance away. In 19 something or other 70s, that's me with hair. I actually taught geography to 8th graders. You know, it's kind of along the way. I don't think I was in it long because I started dating them, and they didn't think that was a good idea. So, God, I should have been in that '70s show. But I did. I mean, it was they asked you what you want to do with the younger kids, you know, in the elementary school or the middle school, and I said, oh, geography. That's what I want to do. I'm going to show you some other things, and this is actually expat moose, but this isn't the expat moose you've heard about. This is actually a 1978 version of the moose, so he goes way, way back. This is from my college newspaper, which I had actually drawn this cartoon. The reason is some of these things that are happening today, that are themes within Living Abroad, and were things that have been following me my whole life, in a lot of ways, including the moose. So this is the very first published moose cartoon ever, getting eaten by an alligator. It's a play on Izod. It was I guess the alligators are back, but they were big in the late 70s. And that's what moose looks like today. So these are the cartoons that currently, that I've done actually to bring a little bit of levity into this global mobility space. Expat Moose is often cultural, never goes to cultural training, so he makes awful mistakes, insulting people around the world because he's just not been properly trained. He has a very, very smart daughter and a very resourceful wife who they assimilate very, very well internationally. Not so him. So my involvement in the industry, when I got involved in this industry, it wasn't in 1987, but this is when the original Craighead business was founded, and that's actually a printed book of that's Pakistan. And I got involved in 1995 with that company, and I'm not sure what I was supposed to be doing with that company, but I thought it was a cool company. It had all this information on all these countries, And in 1996, this happened. Intranets appeared. And all of a sudden, the world, the printed world that I had been involved in for a very, very short time, all the clients of the Craighead business wanted the material put on, electronically on their internet. And we had no idea what we were doing then. Just like we don't have a whole lot of good ideas about how we're facing this app world today. It's almost very similar in a lot of ways. It's a transition of technology. So when I got involved in this, we had to sort of make it up as we went along. So we created this online tool, and companies did not have to photocopy hundreds of pages of books. It almost seems ludicrous now that that's what they used to do. And sometimes when I tell this story, there's somebody in the room that actually had done that in their career, and they're usually looking like, thank God, it's just, but that's what they did. These were copyrightable, photocopiable books. So when this internet appeared, we had to really reinvent the business, and had done it quite successfully, and put together this online product that could be widely available. And now I'm going to kind of mix up companies because they are ultimately combined, but they were separate way back in the 90s. So in 1997, on the World Wide Web, that was part of the logo back then. People people probably don't even know what www means anymore. We launched with 50 destinations online. This was a real big deal. And this was so cool. And you know, if you looked at it now, it just looks so awful compared to what we know. I mean, it was one long file for each country, you know. But it worked. It was stuff that just didn't exist. So we're going to get into the future pretty quickly. In 2002, that's where I became one of the owners of Living Abroad. Ed Barnhart, who's sitting over there, he and I had left the Craighead business and actually bought the Living Abroad company. So by 2002, we had, from 97, we had added up to 132 destinations. So we were kind of in this building now destinations, because all our clients were saying, well, that's great that you have, England and France, but, we need Angola, and, we need Papua New Guinea, and, all these places, especially in this world, the Houston world, where the energy clients were sending people. So we had to do a lot of work to develop a global network of people to help update the information and create new destination reports and things like that. So we were pretty much in that world for a bunch of years. In 2004, that's when Moose got reintroduced as Expat Moose. This was the very first Moose passport. That's what it looks like today. And that was the one we just did at ERC a couple of weeks ago. And that was Las Vegas, actually up on stage passing out $1,500 to this woman from Texas, actually. I don't think she's in the room, is she? No, Dallas. And at the Emmys in Las Vegas a few months ago. And I know a few people here were in that room that day to see that. So again, we're just having fun with this, bringing a bit of levity into the business. In 2005, we kept adding more destinations, and we had now this icon was used by this logo picture with the globe, like a unisphere, look familiar, was used by a lot of companies back then, because there were very few graphic images of global, back in even 9 years ago. And so we kept bumping into other companies that had the same logo or the same image, and so we dropped it pretty quickly. In 2008, we acquired the Craighead business, that original business, and merged that all into Living Abroad. So that brought us to 150 destinations. From that place in 2008, we started really thinking about what's next, because for a lot of reasons, just adding new countries and making those available to customers, there was a lot of competition on the web. There was other ways of getting information. Maybe this is not a good long-term business. What should we be doing? So we started innovating in a couple spaces. We developed a private social network for companies to link all their expats to, called Our Worlds Connect, and then we wove it in all our destinations. We developed, we continued to add destinations, so right now we're up to 172, and shortly we'll be at 175, because we still need to do that, and we still need to do that for our customers. In 2012, we created the Global Mobility Portal, which is a self-service portal for clients, again, oriented by destination. So everything we do is by destination. So as you change your destination, in this case France, a company could have all their policies, documents, and other things that would now be showing up as related to France or Europe and things like that. So it's a very cool product. We have a number of clients that are using this right now because it just works and makes life a lot easier for them. So again, we're trying to figure out what are we supposed to be doing next. This is what we're building right now. So I mentioned from the paper to the apps, we're building what we think has got to be the next thing as far as content delivery. and we have been talking to our customers this fall about this, and there's a lot of enthusiasm because you heard it in the earlier presentation. A lot of these international travelers don't do any research on the countries that they're going to in advance. This puts it at their fingertips. They don't even have to get online and Google things, and there's a lot of things wrong with doing it that way. We know that to be true, and I'll talk about that in a couple of minutes. But this allows international business travelers to call up a country, say Brazil, and then find out, all they need to know while they're sitting in the airport. On transportation, being safe, getting around, culture and customs, all of the very, very practical things that that people could do with this. So we're pulling it from our database of where the common database that many companies in this room are customers of ours, and that is continually updated by our staff back in Connecticut who are out without power this week, just so you know. The only work being done in Living Abroad is in this room today, because we have, my wife sent me an email, she said, please pick up some flashlights and batteries in Houston because there are none up here. And I was like, wow, yeah, that's right. But we are very excited about this. So we are going to be, moving our business into the smartphone arena. And we talk to our clients, and they say, well, can you make sure it's Android, and make sure it's BlackBerries, and make sure it can be on tablets and things like that. So the plan is to do any and all those things, and it's quite exciting. And that's what our graphic designer has sent to us, saying that just recently saying this is what it's going to look like. So now we're trying to add 90 pages of content into something that's readable in a small phone. It's a challenge. It's a real challenge to set this up right. And when we actually launch this, there's Lonely Planet and other consumer, leisure travel things, but there's no business travel app that has the depth of content that we are accessing via our Living Abroad database that this tool will do. So that is really it's really exciting. We're going to have a very unique thing in this world, and it all started as something for expats way back in books, forever ago when I first started doing it. So I am just thrilled to be involved in this.